Good afternoon, everyone. This is Anne Marie. I wanted to show you a little bit about Aapl. I know this is a little messy, so I'm going to use my desk scribbler and show you a couple of different things that we're seeing. Now, Aapl has a number of gaps that it raced on through and has never filled. The last of which is around $340. Now, I have no idea whether Aapl is going to get to $340. We'll take it as it comes. But if it's in the gap fill mode, there is a likelihood that it will do that. Now, there are a couple of patterns here I want to show you. The first one is the 5-0, right? That's this one right here. Now, I'm really good at drawing, I know. This peak here says that the time frame should have been back in December, but instead of going through the cycle the way it should have, it bounced and then moved in another direction. All right, so this shading here gives us this target region, and the next thing that we have the next thing that we have is the alternate ABCD pattern, which is this one. And that also projects us down here into the 400 level. Now, one of my students sent me an email yesterday and he says, wow, you know, I see Aapl down at 407, and I thought to myself, holy smokes, that would be rough. And I looked at it this afternoon. As I sent him a note, I went, yeah, you know, I don't know about that. But I looked this afternoon, and it sure does look like a possibility. Now, nothing goes straight down in a line, even though Aapl did go straight up. So we do expect a little bit of bounce action. This has been the gap that I've been talking about forever, right? It's a gap that we really knew was there, and you know, gaps do fill. Sometimes it takes a long time. It's very rare for a gap not to fill. So take that under advisement when you start seeing something coming back like that. You know the possibility does exist. All right, that being said, let's do a wipe here. Okay, that being said, we've got yet another formation that we can look at here, and this one, you know what? I'm not going to talk about that formation right this minute. We're just going to leave what it is that we're seeing for now. Let's take a closer look and start thinking about openly what's going on. Listen, I just saw, well, I didn't just see it. I saw a tweet, a note that somebody said, hey, listen, you know, I'm going long. Aapl, you just have to follow divergence. You know, I can appreciate that, and that certainly is true to an extent. Sounds like someone's destroying something in another room. That's certainly true to an extent, but here's the thing. We can stay divergent for a long time, and if you jump in front before an inflection, you will suffer really dreadful consequences by being, you know, in the space where you've actually picked up a falling knife. So the best thing to do is, if you see divergence, be very swift about your entries and exits if you're looking at a shorter term perspective. And then once you get inflection, and we're going to open up our default template so that we can see what inflection actually may look like. We don't see it here, that's for sure. There's nothing in these charts that's telling us that we have upside momentum nearby. Now, it is extremely negative down here, but not that negative at all. We have some divergence, that is true, it does continue, but in the end, we are not looking at something that says, hey, listen, I'm ready to pop, because it's not. And so the best thing in the world to do is let the chart tell you what to do. Okay? Now, a lot of people would say, hey, then where's your edge? Here's my thing. If I take a trade, I want to fall on something soft, and that's the bodies of other people who've taken the trade earlier than me. All right? It's going to give me a cushion. I know that sounds extremely violent, but it is what it is, okay? This is a game not for the faint of heart. In any case, so what we are looking for is an inflection event that allows us to see momentum that shows itself as being able to carry through. So far, we have formations that are very, very aggressive, and just like Aapl moves up, 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 and people try to short it, Aapl is finally in a space where it's moving down, and people need to step back, let this thing cycle through, trade it short on the short term until it starts telling you it wants to turn around. That could be soon. We could have another pop into resistance, and we're making gaps as it is right now. Those will have to be filled eventually. So we are continuing to make gaps. They are getting filled. What we just need to do is focus on watching the charts come into the space. For me, a tidy long might be the attempt to fill the gap action that begins above 465. All right, in between there, you need to look at really small time frames and move in and out until things settle down. Try not to catch the falling knives. Now, if you've got $1 bazillion in the bank and you can handle the heat from that, Apple's not going to move down forever. Please be advised it has a gap down at $340 that may or may not be filled, but it's there. So don't think about piling in because it's cheap, because, I mean, that's been the big thing for Aapl for as long as I can remember. Apple's cheap. Apple's always cheap, right? It always is cheap. Okay, that's enough of me rambling. The last thing I want to look at, because everybody's yammering about it, is Netflix. And here's the thing about Netflix. We love Netflix here. We trade it a lot. And I have not even done anything here. Let me put this on pause for 2 secs. So here we are. Here's Netflix. Here's the daily chart. Netflix, July 12, 2011, began a cataclysmic fall to the south and began to bounce right around here. Now, there are a couple of things we could do for drawing a fib. We could take it all the way to the base here, to the low, and we could see that this is coming up on the 50% mark, right? It's also, let's see, is that the open? 177.47. 177.47. What's the high today so far? 172.68. I suspect 177.48 is on the horizon. Okay, here's what this is the same kind of craziness. Gap action event, working through it. Now, is it moving at an unbelievable speed? Absolutely. But see, it did that over here at an unbelievable speed. And I don't know what the catalyst was. Could have been earnings also. Probably was, right? But it moved cataclysmically, you know, and so it's doing it again. We've got a gap, a follow-through event. Is this a savage emotional candlestick? Yes, it is. Does that mean it's going to get retraced? Yes, it does. It definitely does. How much of it and when is something completely different. I have no idea how to assess that. Right? Now here's something also very interesting. It just came through and filled this gap a short while ago, right? So we've got this gap event. It's not come back to test any of those things, moving out of the range. It's just popped right up and moved. But in the end, this thing is not, ultimately, not over extended yet, because it's got a destiny date up here with this 177 to 178. And frankly, this area here, this 185.40-ish or something like that, is the opening of the last gap formed. Now, we hate things that go gap and then pop up and then gap and then, but it is going to come back. It's going to come back into support because what it's actually trying to do is retrace all the move that it's made over the last bit. Right? It's taken it a long time, over a year to recover, but it is moving into this region. This is here. What's the trade? You know, in the room today, a lot of folks asked, hey, listen, what do you think about bull put spread here? What do you think? If you want to put that way in the future and well out of the money, you'll be in pretty good shape. Most likely. Is this a setup that I would choose for myself right now? No, because I'm a conservative trader and I don't do that, right? Now notice, see the volume over here? Not nearly the same volume over here, right? So that's something that we really do need to think about. Think about that volume approach. Also realize that this action right here at the 165 level is a frontline support level that should get retested. Now the pullbacks have been so shallow because everybody wants to get involved in here. That still should be the case as it accelerates to the base of the gap, and hopefully some of us will say to the top of the gap. If it does that, it's done a 61.8 retracement event. That could be the beginning of a Gartley. It could be the beginning of 100 different things, frankly. So watch that level. 200 looks like it's on tap. Not going to go straight up. Charts don't do that, right? Not for long anyway. They don't go straight up for long. They don't go straight down for long. Not with one candlestick. All right, now they can have a sustained move, right? And the bounces can be shallow. This is what we're expecting with Nflx. So if you're looking to take this long and get involved, you either need to trade on a tight time frame that pulls you into, let's pull it on 30 minutes. 30 minutes is not particularly tight, but it's tight enough. Wow, brings in the pivots that we can see them very well. We're up here at resistance region 4, which is a really big extension, but notice the arc that's coming up over here. Little bit of flattening action. Time for this to take a breath. If it pulls in, watch for the movement. Take your fib drawing tool, draw a 61.8 retracement event, and look at it to come into that level, see if it'll give you a chance to go long again. All right? Nice opportunities here. They do need to pull back. Doesn't mean pull back. Pullback does not mean reversal. Pullback means I've got to take a breath. I'm going to clear some profits off, and I'm going to wait with some dry powder for when this comes back and people have decided it's in a value space again. All right? So far, those pullback areas have been extremely shallow. All right? Looks good. Hey, have a great weekend. I know this is long. Apologize about that. Just a lot to talk about with this particular stock. Okay? Take care.